There is a particular silence that arrives when you put your keys down on the counter at the end of a long day and realize you don't recognize the life waiting for you inside. You built this, all of it, the career, the address, the calendar that other people envy, and somewhere between the promotion and the mortgage and the third anniversary dinner, it stopped feeling like yours. But you can't say that out loud, not yet. On paper, nothing is wrong. That is the strangest part. The job is good, the partner is kind, the numbers add up, the friends still text, and still, there is this quiet, persistent ache that follows you from room to room like a tenant you never agreed to take in. And so you ask yourself the question you never let leave the inside of your head. How did I end up here? Not here as in this city, not here as in this title, here as in this version of myself. Imagine your life as a house. You didn't inherit it, you designed it. You drew the blueprints when you were 25, maybe 30. You chose the rooms based on who you wanted to become. You picked the location based on what you were running from and what you were running toward. And then you built it, slowly, brick by brick, year by year, decision by decision. Each yes was a wall, each no was a door you sealed shut, and you were proud of it. You should have been. It took everything you had. But here is what no one warned you about. The person who drew those blueprints doesn't live in you anymore. He moved out years ago, quietly, without telling anyone, and you are still maintaining the house he designed for a man who no longer exists. There are rooms in this house you no longer enter, versions of yourself you no longer visit, dreams you keep in storage because throwing them out would feel like admitting something you are not ready to admit. And so most of your energy now goes into maintenance, keeping the walls upright, paying the invisible mortgage, performing the version of you that this life requires because the alternative, even imagining the alternative, feels like betrayal. Here is the thing no one tells you about building a life. The life that traps you most is rarely the one forced upon you. It is the one you built yourself with your own hands while you were still becoming someone else. You are not unhappy because you failed. You are unhappy because you succeeded, had the wrong version of the right life. Somewhere along the way, you were allowed to change. You were allowed to become someone the younger you wouldn't have recognized. But no one handed you that permission slip, so you kept honoring promises you made before you understood yourself. And that is what so much of this exhaustion really is. Not burnout, not laziness, not weakness. It is loyalty. Loyalty to a ghost. To a version of you that was brave enough to choose, but not yet wise enough to know what he was choosing. The work now is not demolition. You don't have to burn the house down. You don't have to blow up the marriage, quit the career, abandon the people who count on you. The work is quieter than that. The work is honesty, room by room, choice by choice, asking which walls were yours and which ones you inherited from a stranger named you. No one is going to walk into your life and give you permission to want something different. The boss won't, the family won't, the world certainly won't. That permission only ever arrives in one voice, yours. So before you go back to performing the life you built, before you straighten your tie and answer the next email and pretend the ache isn't there, let me ask you something. And I want you to answer it honestly, not out loud, just to yourself. If no one would be disappointed, and no one would notice, what part of this life would you quietly let go of first? Don't rush past it, don't soften it. The answer that arrives first, the one that embarrasses you or scares you or feels too small to matter, that is the one to listen to. You do not have to rebuild your life tonight. You do not have to know the answer by morning. The invitation is smaller than that, and much harder. The invitation is to stop pretending the ache isn't there, To let yourself feel for one honest hour that some of what you built was for a man who is no longer in the room. And to know that this is not failure. This is the beginning of returning. Start with one room, one conversation you have been avoiding, one calendar entry that doesn't belong to you anymore, one sentence in a journal that begins with the words, "I don't actually want this." You do not need a new life. You need a more honest one. The life you built was not a mistake. It was the most honest answer the younger you knew how to give. Honor him by not staying loyal to questions he can no longer ask. For those who look successful outside, but are still searching within, stay. There is more of this path waiting for you here.